Okay, we're live. So basically, for this section, we want to share about this little girl, the mage, Chang'e. I bet you're gonna ask, who is she? Never seen her in my pubs. Yeah, we don't see her in ranked gaming or classic gaming for that matter. Even if it's just classic, we just don't see her. But why? Well, we'll get to that. But if you're still interested in how to use her and how we can maybe make her more eminent in future games, let's get to her skills first. First off, her passive, whenever she deals damage, skill damage to an enemy, that that damage will be amplified by 2% for every time a skill damage is dealt to the enemy. So the amplification would increase up until 40%. So that's a huge amount of damage. And this will be key in using her ultimate. Now we go next to her second skill, which is her bread and butter. This crescent moon gives her a shield, gives her movement speed. It seems like godsend for mages actually, because since they're so squishy, they're relying on their move speed. So basically, this one gives her permanent, quote permanent, move speed of plus 10% at base level, and at maximum level 15%. Now, aside from that, aside from the shield, aside from the movement speed, which is already so good, it also gives her enhanced basic attacks. What I mean by that is, it will give Chang'e Crescent Moon, which every time you perform a basic attack, those Crescent Moons will also deal damage to the same target that you use your basic attack on, dealing magic damage to them. So this Crescent Moon skill, whenever it's up, whenever you have your shield up, it will enhance your move speed, it will give you your shield, it will give you your move speed and your enhanced basic attacks, and will also enhance your other skills. So for Crescent Moon, it per level, it scales. The cooldown goes down per level. The shield goes up. The movement bonus goes up. So it's very good. Now we get to our first skill. Basically, this is your primary nuke. It deals magic damage and does a slow of 40%. Now, if you activate the second skill, the Crescent Moon, it will also send additional 4 energy balls from the Crescent Moon and deals 20% of the damage dealt and also slows. So imagine 4 energy balls, also slows. That's 40% plus 4 energy balls? That's maybe 100% slow. And as you can see, even though the cooldown does not scale with level, but the damage, it scales. So this is the primary nuke of Chang'e. We'll see later in our gameplay the impact of hitting precisely this first skill, how much it hurts. Look at that. Maximum at minimum damage is 340, right? 340. And if you have 4 energy balls dealing 20% each, if everything hits, that's 80% of 340. That's more or less 600 damage total at base level, level 1, if you can hit all balls on the same target. And at maximum level, 540, wow, that's like 1,000 damage a hit or more. So we go to the ultimate now, which shoots meteors forward, 30 meteors forward, increases your move speed by 20 seconds, and then launches 30 meteors forward. Now remember, I said this works well with her passive because every skill damage, every instance of skill damage that hits the enemy will let your damage amplify up until 40%, from 2% to 40%. So imagine if majority of the 30 meters hit, how much would the latter hits of your meteor, how much damage would that deal? That's a ton of damage. So this is with the basic ultimate, but if you also have crescent moon, the crescent moon will also deal damage, will also cast meteors alongside Chang'e. So the width of the meteor will be bigger, the damage, the number of meteors will be better, so the amplification will be there. So as you can see, with these skills, it's apparent that Chang'e, if you don't have the second skill activated, which gives you additional move speed, has no mobility, basically none. Just really, it's just plain damage. So first skill, damage and slow. Second skill, move speed and enhanced basic attack, and shields of course. And then third skill, the ultimate, it's just plain damage. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. So unlike other mages like Eudora, you can say Eudora is all damage, but Eudora has a stun. Eudora has burst. As Chang'e, you deal damage over time, and you don't have stun. You only have a slow, which you can't even exactly pinpoint. It's not a targetable skill. You can only target to a certain location, so it's not that reliable slow. So as a hero, that's why Chang'e is not used that much, because of these apparent limitations. Now, how do you make Chang'e work then? First of all, Chang'e is a very flexible hero. In terms of itemization, in terms of gameplay. Now, okay, gameplay not so much, because your objective as Chang'e is to dish out the damage. That's it. Dish out the damage. Now, how do you make this work? As you can see, preparation, emblem. I really recommend you use the mage emblem. You go for the damage. You go for the damage. You always go for the damage. Chang'e equals damage, nothing else. Don't even think about kiting. Don't even think about initiating. You just stay at the back lines and dish damage from afar. Don't even think about initiating. God no. Okay, so for this one, we double down on the move speed that is given to her by her second skill. With this agility, max it out. Then next, observation, magic penetration. You'll see why later. And as a treat, magic penetration gives you additional burst away from the magic resistance of the enemy, so this just gives you extra pop. And you can either go for magic worship or impure rage. Magic worship can be proc easily with Chang'e, because look at that, 3 times in 5 seconds you deal 7% of the max damage and does burn. So it's pretty handy for Chang'e to have this. It can easily proc, but I usually go for impure rage because of the restores mana. Why? Because if you don't want to go for demon shoes, which I don't, not on Chang'e, if you don't want to go for demon shoes, then impure rage is the way to go. It also deals damage based on your damage to them, but it does not deal burn damage. It just deals a percentage of the enemy's current HP damage. So in terms of damage, if you want more damage, go magic worship. Go for it. I really recommend it. But if you want to go for the late game, if you want to have more sustainability in the laning phase, have more mana, go impure rage. Next spells, sprint is the primary one. Why? Because we don't have any mobility items, mobility spells or skills on Chang'e. The only way she can survive or even initiate or even chase or follow up on her teammates and the damage that she can deal is sprint. Other than that, if you don't want to be controlled, purify can be used. You can also go for flicker if you want to to position yourself better in your skills. Why do I say this? Because like the ultimate, you can, once you cast your ultimate, whichever direction you cast your ultimate, it will only hit that direction. Okay? And it can only hit the first instance of the enemy hit in that direction. So if maybe a tank is trying to block the direction of your ultimate, you want to go for somebody behind them, flicker in front of the tank, and the one behind them will be dead. Maybe, but those are just rare instances. I usually go for sprint. I really recommend sprint. The synergy with her ultimate, which lasts a longer duration, sprint also goes for a long duration, is insane. Now for equipment, Chang'e, one of the most underrated and underused mage items is Ice Queen 1. Now this does wonders for Chang'e because it has a 15% slowdown effect per damage of skills that is done. So remember, Chang'e skills can have many instances. So most of the time you can already max this out. The stack, it stacks up to 2 times, so you can do 30% slow. But I see a hand somewhere. You say, why do we need Ice Queen 1 when your first skill is already a 40% slow, even at just base damage, even if you're not even using the Crescent Moon? Well, I say this. First skill of the Crescent Moon, it's not that reliable. Again, it only targets a particular location. It's not a hero. It cannot be hero locked. So, if it miss, no slows for you. And if you can slow the enemy, it will be harder to hit with your other skills, particularly your ultimate. Okay? So Ice Queen Wand negates that, and of course the first skill also has the disadvantage of being just a few you could say a few circles away from Chang'e. Not like it doesn't have the length that the ultimate has. So it doesn't have the reliability, it doesn't have the length. So if you want to rely on the first skill to have the slow, you have to go near the enemy. This one, you can just cast the ultimate. They will be slowed, surely. Now, the downside here is that, yeah, Ice Queen 1 can have great synergy with the ultimate, but it doesn't give you that burst damage. It doesn't give you that. It does give you some sort of magic power. It does give you some sort of mana that you will be needing because you'll be spamming your first skill so much, and maybe even your second skill. So what this gives is all of the things that Chang'e needs. Magic power, magical lifesteal to sustain you during your laning stage, during your clashes, 150 mana. Mana is always welcome on Chang'e, and movement speed, doubling down on what she sorely lacks, which is mobility. And walking is just the only way Chang'e can survive. So, Ice Queen 1 day, ladies and gentlemen. Aside from that, for boots, well, I usually go for Arcane Boots for the magic penetration again, along with the emblem that I showed you earlier with the magic penetration. This also gives magic penetration, gives you more oomph on those instances of magic damage done on your ultimate, on your first skill, for those many Crescent Moon damage. Now, if you want to go for a reduced cooldown, you can go for magic shoes, always welcome. And if you don't want to go impure rage emblem and just go full damage, full burn, go for demon shoes. You'd need it for the mana. But for me, I go for arcane boots for the damage because, again, what is the mantra? Chang'e equals damage. Okay, we go for the arcane boots. We go for the Ice Queen 1 so that your ultimate can be reliable even if you have no other spells hit, you have no other items. Okay, now What is the problem with Ice Cream 1 again? Burst damage? The next item will solve that. Lightning Truncheon gives you that burst magic damage, gives you additional magic power, gives you the mana again, and gives you cooldown reduction. Oh yeah, cooldown reduction to use your ultimate more, to use your first skill more. Remember, your first skill is just 7 seconds across the board, so cooldown reduction is really gravy. Now, I think for me, core item for Chang'e is just Ice Queen 1. For burst damage, you can go for Lightning Truncheon if you're going to rely on her skills for damage, or you can go for Calamity Reaper if you're gonna rely on her basic attacks for damage. But for me, I don't go for that. I just go for all skills. So if I go skills, next item would be Divine Glaive. Again, magic penetration gives you more unique damage bonus. So that is a lot of damage, guys. That's now 15% magic penetration plus your emblem penetration plus 70% magic penetration if your HP is higher than 70%. That is a lot of burst damage now. You got a lot of burst damage, and if you just want to have your bread and butter be ready for the clash, you can use it more than twice at least in a clash. Fleeting time is the way to go, and you can just spam your first skill so much with this one. And next, for more sustainability, Blood Wings give you more HP, gives you more magic power, the damage you deal will be done. And while this is my standard build, I can there are many instances where you want to go for different item builds like this one, Clock of Destiny, to give you more survivability, to gives you more magic damage over time, to give you more mana. So that's a substitute that you can use. Other people go for concentrated energy so that they'll be more sustained during clashes. Well, it's up to you basically. Up to you, up to your playstyle, up to your opponent's lineup, and your own team lineup. So basically, that's Chang'e's skills, the emblems that we prefer to use on her, the two types of emblems that emblem skills that we can use on her, the spells, either sprint, purify, or flicker, just for the positioning and escape mechanisms, and the equipments. Now we go for the standard gameplay. I saved a replay of the Chang'e right here. So first glance of this is just, oh my god, we have no tank. Yep, we got no tank. We got an MM, we got two mages, a Diggy, and a Jawhead. So basically, our first rule is that Chang'e equals damage. But we already got a lot of damage, right? Mozgov and Harley. Mozgov in the late game, Harley early to mid game. So Harley is just a major source of damage. Now, we see that we lack tank. And as a mage, you want to do damage, and as Chang'e particularly, you want to do damage at distance, whether it's using your first skill or your ultimate. Now, how do you do that when your front line is either just Diggy, I mean, who's afraid of a Diggy, right? And a Jawhead, that's like just basically inviting the enemy to say, "Oh, come at me. That Jawhead is not going to save her teammate. Maybe he'll throw the Chang'e right at me instead." Yeah, there are Jawheads like that. So anyway, with that, basically what we want to do in the early game is to farm. First, I go for the second skill. Why? You can go for the first skill if you think that you'll be harassed so much, and that maybe you need the additional move speed. You can even go for boots first. It's not a problem. So for me, I go for the more greedier first skill, with my my second skill first, so that I have more basic attack. And that Joy is dead. He disrespected the damage output being dealt by Lancelot and stayed, even though he's already half life points. Now, I went for Boots next because I actually recognized that in the enemy lineup they have a lot of chicks. A lot. You could see the one leaning against me are Lancelot. He can just first skill and second skill on me. I'll be slowed and dead in a few seconds. Zilong can just second skill me and then flip me, and I have nowhere else to go but rely on my sprint. And I'm basically dead if that happens. If any one of Zilong or Lancelot goes on me, I'm dead. And they even have Lapu Lapu, which can dash on me. They even have Cho, which can dash on me. I've been saying it so many times. Dash on me. And Kimi, which can hit at me from afar and use that ultimate of hers to just kill me from afar again. So what I want to do again is damage from afar. And the best item to do that is Ice Queen 1. And look at that. I spam the ultimate. The cast range is so long. I can go from here, basically here, and hit up until the grass area, with the tower hitting me, of course, but I can hit until the grass area. My ultimate can span that whole screen. Can you see that? Yeah, that's right. And now I'm basically going for, let's speed up the gameplay. So basically, you want to harass your enemies. You can see the damage that I've been dealing to that Lapu Lapu. If he doesn't have his ultimate up, he would have died point blank. If those creeps weren't there, he would have died point blank. So basically, as a mage, your first skill, that's why I said you should max out your first skill first, because it is the main harass that you can do. And look at that damage. I deal so much damage to both Cho and Kimi, but I didn't die for Kimi there because I knew that the duration of my ultimate, it will already be up, and if I dove, I'll be going up against a Cho and a Kimi with no more abilities at my disposal other than my first skill. So if I cast my first skill, maybe I could kill Kimi at most, but I would have died against that Cho. And I don't even have my Ice Queen 1, so it's not something that I would like. Sorry that Jawhead had to sacrifice himself earlier there, but that's the problem with being a frontline for the team. Now, speeding things up. Just farm, guys. You know what you need to do. If you don't have your Ice Queen 1, you're basically dead. If those enemies go on you. Now, if you have Ice Queen 1, oh, that Cho had the mistake. He went for Diggy instead of me. He pays for it with his life. Now, I've already completed my Ice Queen 1. Going back on my conversation earlier with the Ice Queen 1, now that we have Ice Queen 1 on me, on yourself, it just means that even if enemies will dive you, you could, oh, look at that, ultimate, the damage being done, oh, that's so much damage. I basically deal 50% of the damage to that Lapu Lapu, even in his ultimate state. That's a ton of damage. So, Ice Queen 1, even if enemies go on me, I still have the chance to maybe, okay, this is what you should not do. You go too close, you dead. You dead. Now, why did that happen? One, the direction. Again, your ultimate can only be cast at a direction. And if you already cast it at a certain direction, and you can no longer change it for the whole duration. What does that mean? So earlier I was here. Uh, let's see this. Earlier I was here. I chased. Then my direction was going up slightly, but he went here, Zilong. So when he went here, my ultimate keeps going up. My ultimate can't damage him. So I had to slide a little, hoping that he doesn't have his second skill up, but he does, and I'm dead. And I didn't think that he could kill me at... I underestimated the damage being brought by that Zilong, which, if I look at his items, I should not have underestimated because he's already got a BOD. So basically, look at that. Moskov is that... Oh, they traded, but again, if he can do that to a Moskov, which is tankier than me, than a Chang'e, then what does a Chang'e with no items hope to have? I don't have any... Oh, that would have hit if I didn't have my second skill up. So the additional move speed... Oh, the damage! And he's dead. And again, that's a lot of damage being done by a Chang'e. People underestimate Chang'e. It's like said, oh, those are just bubbles. They tickle, right? She doesn't have items. What's the Ice Queen one gonna do to me? It's not lightning truncheon. Come on, 6 seconds to my ultimate, so I can't kill that thing. Oh, and there it is, my ultimate. And I could have tried to kill the Kimmy, but I didn't, trying to save my teammates, and it was successful. Why did I say save? Because every time I hit my spells on an enemy, which I did earlier with the Lancelot. Oh, look at that, ultimate again, and my first kill. So Lancelot melts, and look at that Kimmy. Look at that Kimmy! Nearly dead! Oh my god. So that's what a Chang'e can do. Chang'e equals damage. Okay? So basically a full life Kimmy melts. And just KS from the Moskov. And again, 80% life Lancelot. Just a first kill from Chang'e, and kill secure from the Harley. Damage. So Lapu Lapu again, many times earlier, killed by Jawhead. So you're basically the damage. So as a teammate of Chang'e, don't underestimate the damage that Chang'e can deal. And as a mage, look at that. Dead. So dead. And while I said earlier that while I'm here, I'm hitting the tower here. I'm here. When I'm hitting the tower here with my ultimate. That's how long the ultimate of Chang'e is. How do I know that the enemies are there? Look at the minimap. They show up in the minimap. You can predict where they are, and if you hit them with your skills, oh, can you see that? Don't be afraid to dive if you hit the enemy with your first skill. Why? If you hit your enemies with your first skill, as in everything, that's basically like 100% skill. They are so slow, they can't escape. And if they can't escape, free hits from the ulti. Which, if you get free hits from the ulti, that's like 30% slow within 2 hits of your meteor. And again, meteor. You see that? And look at that life. If those creeps weren't there to protect the Lancelot, he would have died too. He would have said goodbye. Now as you can see, I went in pure rage and still my mana is not at max. Because every time that my shield is no longer up because of damage from my enemy, I would need to recast it again. And oh, there it is. Oh, I think we're dead here. Oh, that thing is dead. That thing is dead. It's so easy to follow up for your teammates when Chang'e has already dealt much of the damage in the team fight. I've already expended my ultimate earlier. Against that Lancelot, he just melts. So, the others are gravy. Gravy. Now, see here, I went for Lightning Truncheon at my next item. Okay, I'm just going to go harassed, trying to make sure that there are more chip damage that can be done to this tower when we had that catapult minion. And for my itemization, like what I said earlier, going for Ice Queen Wand, and then going for Lightning Truncheon for the burst damage. At this point in the game, we're firmly in the driver's seat. That's why I didn't change my build. I say, okay, I need Ice Queen Wand and I need the damage, which means Lightning Truncheon. So I went for that. I then go for the fleeting time because I thought we will be pushing the lane so hard that they would have a hard time trying to defend against the push if I also use my ultimate along with it. So the enemy meanwhile was split pushing down at bottom. So our thinking is that, oh, they're at the bottom, they're less than optimal, we can push easy. And yeah, look at that. As I said, fleeting time, I just spam my ultimate. But they're here. I'm dead. Too late to cast the sprint. And why is that? Why is that? Because Zilong, Lapu Lapu, Lancelot, all of them can just kill. And they got 2 BODs. That's just one BOD hit can just cut your life in a third. Even if you have your shield. Even if. So that's a lot of damage. And as Chang'e, you should be far behind. And the enemy, they capitalized on that earlier and was able to get me. How? Lancelot went in, first skill, second skill, hits me, slows me down, and then the follow-up damage from Lapu Lapu and Zilong, and even the Kimi, which is a ton of damage. The 2 BODs insta-death. Wasn't even able to have time to use my sprint. But that's a lot of chip damage done on their inhibitor turrets. Look at that. Because of their try, they were able to. Oh, look at that damage. But I was so focused on killing that Lapu Lapu that Zilong wrecked us. Yep, he did. Wrecked me. The Jawhead, instead of going frontline items, he went for the damage items. So I don't know, because this is just a classic game. It happens. He's saying, why should I be your frontline when I can be the killer myself? And that's the answer. Cause you got no shit if you can't do the damage. See? If you charge in against Lancelot, he second skills, Mamba out. Kimi, second skill, Mamba out. Cho, second skill, Mamba out. Lapu Lapu, I can go all day. Everybody going Mamba out. Even Zilong can just ultimate Mamba out. Okay? Every one of them. And while Jawhead is warranted with his build because he's already done so much. Oh, look at that, look at that, look at that. Oh my god. Belted. That Lapu Lapu melts. Solo against me. Double kill. Easy. Easy. And if you're a teammate of Chang'e, what do you need to do? Remember, Chang'e is damage. Chang'e equals damage. So how do you make sure that Chang'e will keep on doing her damage? 1. Front line. 2. Crowd control. If you can do crowd control for Chang'e and make her do free hits, and most of the damage would be dealt to an enemy, if your Chang'e has a fleeting time, easy. That's maybe at least 2 enemies dead. Okay? At least. So I went back and go for more damage with the Divine Glaive. And at this point I'm saying, what should be my last item? Maybe I should go for the... Oh! There it is. Maybe I should go for more sustainable items. Because, why? I have already the damage with my Winter Truncheon and the Divine Glaive. The problem is, if there are moments like that where, oh, instead of Diggy being the one being gone on, I'm the one being gone on because I became closer than the Diggy, and inadvertently I die, then I should go for more tanky items instead of going for the damage items, right? So you have to take the enemy lineup and your own lineup into consideration. You don't have the most sustainable front lines. You only got a Diggy, which it doesn't have any amount of... Okay, he's kind of sustainable, but he doesn't go for any tank items. He's going for the Thunderbelt and the Clock of Destiny, which are not the tankiest items. And look at that, he melts. He is dead. So he's not the most reliable front lines. So you have to go, okay, I have to be more sustainable myself, right? I went Clock of Destiny. Why? I could have gone for the wings, the Bloodlust wings. But I didn't. Oh, look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that. Dead. He just took all those meteor showers to the face, and again, easy hit from my first skill. He was so slow. And we're going for more. So again, if you want to frontline for Chang'e, it's all good, baby. It's all good. As a Chang'e, you don't want to be the front line. You're useless as a front line. Useless, I'm telling you, useless. So if you want to be the front line and want to be the distraction for your teammate, maybe you want to go for other items. Maybe you want to go full clock, full concentrated, maybe even go for the Thunderbelt. Maybe some things like that. But Chang'e equals damage. What are your skills for if you're going for defensive, no magic power damage? So while I said sustainable earlier, I went for Clock of Destiny, doubling down on the damage that I will deal in the late game. Oh, look at that, look at that, look at that. Even though he wasted his immortality, I made sure that there would be 2 deaths to his name with those assists. Okay? And just spamming, keeping on spamming, and look at that. Easy kill, even if I'm diving the throne, even if the enemy Kimi is so far away, just making sure that there are no more obstacles in our path. GG is cold. That's how you play Chang'e, guys. Remember, you have to take into consideration the lineup that you have, the lineup of your enemy, your role in the team, damage, itemizations that you'd need to counter the enemy. In this instance, not so much damage. I went for Divine Glaive because they have so much Athena. They have 2 Athena shield. And even the Rose Gold meter to counteract the magical damage I would deal with. So I have magical penetration and just do burst damage with my fleeting time and more sustainability with my Clock of Destiny. So that's that, everyone. Hopefully you can use Chang'e in your matches. Let me know how you do. Peace out.